Welcome to CI Live. I'm Izzah Rosli, an agricultural economist focusing on coconut oil.
And I'm Aiman, also an agricultural economist at S&P covering palm kernel oil.
Today, we'll be diving into the world of coconut oil and palm kernel oil, two of the key lauric oil used in multitude of sectors. Particularly, we'll be exploring how the factors driving coconut oil demand and its supply challenges and its price dynamic over palm kernel oil.
Yeah, so what's been happening in the market? Both CNO and PKO prices have been on an upward trend since early 2024, and they've stayed elevated throughout the year. This is a result of combination of supply constraints, demand shifts, and broader global economic factors.
Exactly. To give you some context, the CIF Rotterdam coconut oil price have increased by 65% year over year as of December, with the current prices hitting close to $2,000 per metric tons. And I believe it's been the same for palm kernel oil. Ayman, could you share how the price of PKO have been like recently?
Yeah, so the price of palm kernel oil have actually risen by about 109% during the same period, reflecting similar market pressures. In fact, in late November, PKO prices even traded at a rare premium relative to CNO, driven by output concerns in both Malaysia and Indonesia, the two largest producers in the world.
That's right, Ahmed. And the market dynamics for both oil has certainly shifted. Both CNO and PKO prices have seen support from tight supply condition, with PKO also experiencing some price strength. And for CNO, there has been a decline in production, which we can talk about as we delve deeper.
Yeah, so for PKO, a similar scenario also played out, with the palm oil sector facing disruptions in harvesting and processing activities amid torrential rainfall leading to floods in certain areas in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, and this supply tightness have been compounded by strong demand from industries, particularly like cosmetic, personal care, and food production, all of which have increased their consumption of lauric oil. And cosmetic and pharmaceutical sector in particular have limited alternative to coconut oil, making their demand relatively inelastic. So despite the higher prices, demand remains robust, and that's keeping pressure on the market right now.
Yeah, so now Izzah, you mentioned strong demand. Let's look into what's driving CNO demand. So what are the key factors behind the trend?
One of the key drivers have been high margin. Light cut oleochemical products used in soaps and detergents have been favoring CNO over PKO, especially in the EU and the US market. And right now, what we're seeing is that the retail sales in personal care and food industry have been up, especially in the US. And recent figure shows an increase of about 24% in personal care sales month over month.
That's interesting. So plants that have the flexibility to switch between feedstocks are maximizing CNO use to take advantage of those margins.
Yeah, and this have been reflected. We see Philippines coconut oil export surge this year, already surpassing the total volume exported last year. And markets are also expecting a boost in domestic surge, given the Philippines hike in their biodiesel blend mandate, which is from 2% to 3% starting October this year. So this means that they'll need more of CME, which is coconut methyl ester, which is derived from coconut oil. And to meet the 1% increase in the mandatory blend, we looking at more domestic demand for CNO for this upcoming marketing year.
And that's a big one. We must not also forget that CNO demand has been bolstered by concerns over PKO availability amid the rising concerns over looming EUDR regulations. Now, what about the supply side? That's typically where we see challenges emerge.
For CNO, production hasn't been able to keep pace with the rising in demand. Few factors are at play right now. The most unpredictable one remains the weather disruption, as we see some of the worst storm in Indonesia, and even recently in Philippines, there's an active typhoon season, which has led to delays in copra arrivals, which makes it even harder to maintain consistent supply.
Yep. This tight supply definitely has a knock-on effect. With heavy exports expected in the next 6 weeks, CNO stocks in the Philippines are projected to decline by Christmas.
Totally. Our concern right now is in the key regions like northern Mindanao, which has already experienced a slowdown. So these first few weeks of December, we're seeing that the region is showing signs of reduced output. And if we were to look back during this time, farmers will usually ramp up the production before the Christmas season to meet up with heightened demand. But looking at the situation right now, we think that the pre-Christmas push may not be materialized as expected. And another thing is that with supply staying tight and demand still strong, it's no surprise that prices have remained elevated up to now. And this sets the stage for some interesting market dynamics as we head into next year.
So where does this leave us in terms of market outlook? Right now, CNO demand remains robust and prices are holding strong. But the big question is, can CNO regain its premium over PKO?
Yeah, there are a couple of key factors that we need to look at. So the first one is in terms of domestic biodiesel production. Should there be any considerable rise in the Philippine domestic coconut oil usage following its B3 announcement, the tightness may even worsen before supply can even catch up. And then another thing is that in terms of consumer buying, we will see another wave of industrial purchasing, especially from oleochemical sectors, as high prices would typically deter long-term contracts. So the market remains very spot focused, and right now with buyers covering just enough to meet its immediate need. And the last one would be in terms of tight supply, I would say, because if Philippine export continue to outpace production, then CNO tightness could push it back to a premium over PKO in early 2025.
Yeah, and of course, it's not all one-sided. PKO continues to serve markets where it remains more cost competitive. So both oils will be competing for a share in this tight lauric oil market.
Yeah, to wrap up, we should expect demand for coconut oil to remain elevated, whereas the supply challenges will keep stock low and prices high.
That's a similar story to PKO as well. And the big question now remains whether or not coconut oil will regain its premium over PKO in the next coming months. That's what we expect. It's definitely a key trend to watch as we head into 2025.
Yep. Thanks for joining us today. Stay tuned as we continue to track these development and their impacts. Feel free to check our latest report on the short-term forecast for lauric oil.